Welcome to the Morning Nerdy News. I'm your host, Gray Falcon. We've got our big pre-release for the PlayStation 5, so we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. We got a lot of information to go over today. First off, if you have not already received your pre-order setup or scheduled it, make sure you go out and contact whatever store that you've ordered it from if it's not being shipped directly to you. This could mean that you may need to call Best Buy, Walmart, Target, any location that's selling it, and set up your curbside pickup because they don't want anyone going into the store to get these. So make sure that you have that scheduled as soon as your site will allow you to go ahead and perform that scheduling. Unfortunately, I can't walk you through that process like I normally would because I'm having mine shipped directly to my home. So I'll be able to do an unboxing and do that with you once that arrives tomorrow. But until then, just make sure you check your site, check your links, and get your pickup time scheduled as soon as possible. All right, so first up, we're going to talk about for people who haven't received their PlayStation, weren't able to pre-order it, weren't able to set up anything in advance. So PlayStation 5 tomorrow will be available from Walmart at 12 p.m., 3 p.m., 6 p.m., and 9 p.m. Eastern for order online. You can place this order and then schedule a pickup at your local store for local availability. There will also be some that are available to have shipped directly to you. Keep in mind that's going to take a couple extra days. Over on Best Buy with theirs is online only and can only be shipped. So it'll either be shipped to your house or scheduled for curbside pickup at a later date. Tomorrow they are only doing curbside pickup for products that are already pre-ordered. And if you happen to go on and get one off of Amazon, keep in mind that they are back ordered. So if they do have a listing for available product tomorrow, don't expect to receive it in 2 days with Prime shipping or necessarily even within a week or two, because people who have already pre-ordered and got their names in have received emails from them stating that it could be December 31st before they see the product. So if you're going for Amazon to purchase that, good luck on when you actually receive yours, because this has been quite a problem for them with both systems and being able to judge the actual number that they're going to have, how soon they're going to have them, and how quickly they can actually get them out. However, if you do miss out tomorrow and you're unable to get them, over at GameStop, you can go out and purchase one on Black Friday in person only. So this is a little counter to everything else that it has been, but they are going to have a limited stock inside of the stores. So if you want to go out and pick up your PlayStation 5 in store, you're going to have to go out, wait in line. They're not open on Thursday, so they are opening up at 7 a.m. on Friday, the 27th. So just make sure that you're prepared to go wait in lines. Probably going to have to spend hours out in line to actually receive one of these. So make whatever preparations you need if you feel that you are going to be one of these people who are standing out there. And yeah, quite frankly, I don't know that it's going to be worth it to stand in the cold for hours on end for an availability that we don't know of how many there are actually going to be on a day when we're already dealing with so much going on, and social distancing is going to be a problem probably at these. We've seen videos for other GameStops where they have had people out there for this, and they're not typically standing the 6 feet apart. So if that makes you uncomfortable, you're better off doing your best to attempt to get one tomorrow or simply waiting till another time to try and acquire one. All right. And then let's go ahead and get into the actual PlayStation information. And over on the PlayStation blog, they've actually provided a very handy FAQ for pretty much everything that you're going to need to know about the actual system. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to go through this, and we're just going to make sure we get all the basics covered. Some of the questions I'll probably just scroll over, so if you want more detail, come over here and read some of those, but they're not necessarily questions that you'll get the basic gist of, should I go ahead and upgrade certain things now or should I wait? And that's not necessarily important to what's going on with the next couple of days. If you want to buy another controller or not, that's really up to you, not Sony. PlayStation should have no say in what you need for your accessories. But we're going to go ahead and scroll down. And it has a quick links here, so you got a table of contents. This is much nicer to go through than it was with Xbox, where I had to search and go to a whole bunch of different locations to find this type of information. So Sony is putting it very much right out there for you to be able to find and enjoy. So first thing we have is console hardware for availability. We already know that if you're watching this, you're probably in the US, but it is going to be available tomorrow. And then Mexico is the 12th as well, Brazil the 19th, the UK the 19th, and the rest of Europe the 19th as well. You can see the prices there, but if you weren't aware already, you're looking at $500 for the standard one and knocking $100 off of that if you want the all digital. But keep in mind, you go all digital, you are paying a premium for the video games that you're going to have to buy to play this. But we'll get into that type of information here a little bit later. Now, the first thing we come across is, are there any performance differences between the PS5 console and the digital edition? No, there's not any changes. Goes into what does the system weigh, the dimensions. So if that's important to you for your home setup, go in there, take that information, do some measurements. Will this be available in different color schemes? No, it won't. There was a third-party site that does custom items, so they'll do a lot of perishables like charging stands, maybe controllers and other things, and they had made the PlayStation.com or PlayStation5.com. It was very close to PlayStation. And then they had to change it after Sony contacted them. And then after more pressure, they were forced to cancel entirely. So no third-party plates to change the outside look of your system as of right now. Hopefully we'll get that soon and you'll be able to change up the look, because it is easy to pop those panels off and change what it actually looks like if you could actually get a molded piece of plastic to stick on there instead. All right, and continuing on, we have input and output. So this is going to come with a USB Type-C port, which is the super speed USB 10 gigabyte. And then we have USB Type-A port, a high-speed USB to connect your DualSense wireless controller to this port. And then we have input-output back of the console for USB Type-A port super speed at 10 gigabits times 2. Use these ports to connect USB drive to extend storage. You can also connect your HD camera. Now, this is where you're going to hook these up. When you get the adapter, if you have the VR, the Sony was giving away the free adapter. Hopefully you've already gone to that site and submitted for that to be able to enjoy your VR. Otherwise, you go over to the PlayStation support, and there is a link through there where you put in the information on the bottom of your little the black box adapter for your VR, and just on that little white sticker, you type that information in, and you follow the prompts in order to actually submit to get your item for the free adapter for the new system. And then networking, we get a 10 base T, 100 base TX, 1000 base dash T, Wi-Fi IEE 802.11, ABGN, AC, and AX, so no Wi-Fi 6 on this. Does the PS5 use external power brick? No, the PS5 is designed with internal power supply. That's pretty typical. I don't believe we've seen a PlayStation where they've really had the big power brick ever. So they're just continuing on with that trend. That was more of an Xbox thing to have that. But that power brick generates a lot of heat, which is understandable why they would keep it out of the system for Xbox. But this time through, it is actually different for them as well. It will be plugging directly in. What is included in the PS5 box? So in the box, you will get the PS5 console. You will get the DualSense wireless controller, just one of those, the USB Type-C to Type-A charging cable for DualSense wireless controller. Given that this has a Type-C on it, I'm not sure why they didn't just do a Type-C to Type-C, but it does have one that switches from Type-C to Type-A, so you can plug it the other way around if you needed to use it for a different device. And then we have the HDMI cable with the ultra high speed. This is an HDMI version 2.1, which is what is necessary for the 120 frames per second if your TV can handle it. The AC power cord, the base, which connects to allows you to connect it to stand vertical or horizontal. During the breakdown, they show how to take that base, remove it, and change it to the other position. There's a little screw that can hide inside, so there's a lot of good information in the teardown breakdown. If you haven't already watched the PlayStation 5 of that, you can also go over to my page and you'll be able to see the actual breakdown, and I can explain what's going on through that. Since it is in Japanese, I also cover other information as far as where they're showing the GPU, where to put in the M.2 for the external drive or internal drive expansion, and all kinds of information in that if you're interested. And then additional, both PS5 models come with a free game pre-installed, which is Astro's Playroom. What it doesn't mention here is that if you have PlayStation Plus, you are getting the PlayStation Plus collection, and we'll cover that here a little bit later on, as well as Bugsnax is going to be the free November game for PlayStation 5 as part of a PlayStation Plus subscription. All right, and then the ultra high speed SSD. So PlayStation 5's ultra high speed SSD and integrated custom I/O system were developed with the goal of removing barriers to play. So this is a lot of just information, just hyping up their internal SSD. But here's the information that we really need to know for what's important. The 5.5 gigabytes per second raw read bandwidth of the PS5's ultra high speed SSD. So that information right there, that 5.5 gigabytes per second, is what we'll need to know if you want to expand the storage inside of your system. They will hopefully have certified ones later on for what ones are compatible, but there are a lot of M.2 drives that are not compatible with this, even if they are 4.0 based systems for PCI Express. A lot of those only go up to 4 gigabytes per second. Now, they require a minimum of 5.5 gigabytes per second and that or higher. So if you get one that's faster, it will probably work in this, but it also has to be the proper size and the proper height to fit in here. So we could see some issues where some of them come with pre-built heat sinks on the top of them, or other things that are designed to keep those cool, and they may not fit. So keep in mind that if you want to have one of these expansion drives, you're going to have to make sure that you get the proper speed and make sure that it's going to fit inside of your system. And this is going to be a big deal because as of right now, external drives and USB drives do not help with PS5 games. You can store PS4 games on an external drive and connect it in here to have them play and work. However, PS5 games cannot currently be run off of or saved on an external, so you're going to have to use that internal memory. But at launch, they are not providing the ability to actually put in the expansion storage. They have in here a little bit further down where they talk about using the M.2 and going ahead and purchasing one at launch, and you cannot purchase one at launch and have it function. That is going to be an update that comes later on. So don't go rushing out to purchase one of these unless you get an incredibly good deal and you have a computer perhaps that you can use it on in addition to this, in case it ends up being something that is not compatible with your PS5. So again, be very cautious with these purchases because a terabyte of that is basically $220 right now for the products that are fast enough to actually run in this system. All right, and then they get into their 3D audio tech. This is for their headphones. They say it will work with your personal TV as well. I wouldn't expect that to work really well at this point. The tech built into the headphones will probably be very, very good. There's no information on actually sending in a photo of your ear or getting that custom look in here for your ear, but they do have a way that they are going to be implementing in order to give the best audio overall based upon what your ear is, at least according to Mark Cerny. Now, if that gets scrapped or something, I don't know. We'll find out. But through your headphones right now is probably going to be the best way to experience this. The TV speaker virtual surround sound, unless you have a high-end surround sound bar like, say, a Sonos or a Bose or something that's already designed to do that type of thing, I wouldn't expect a whole lot out of the actual technology for the PlayStation to the TV to accomplish this. Hopefully I'm wrong, but don't get your hopes up on that part of this. Now we have the actual information on how this performs. So for CPU, we have an x86 64 AMD Ryzen Zen 2 8-core 16-thread variable frequency up to 3.5 gigahertz. It comes with a AMD Radeon RDNA 2 based graphics engine, ray tracing acceleration, variable frequency up to 2.23 gigahertz for 10.3 teraflops. So if you saw the video the other day about the Xbox and you're wondering, yes, the teraflops information does show a little lower. However, there are some differences that come in here with the system memory that could make a difference overall. Because in the system memory for this comes with 16 gigabytes of GDDR6. So all of it is set up at 448 gigabytes per second bandwidth for basically what's probably 2 memory modules set up at 8 gigabytes per module. And all of this is shared. So on the Xbox side, we saw that the memory was divided up where part of it was dedicated to the CPU and part of it was dedicated to the GPU. In this instance, all the memory is shared between the two, and that's necessary for their special I/O in order to make everything run super fast, because they're not using quite the same technology that is in the Xbox, where the game is loading in and holding all that information in the memory constantly. Their build is specifically designed to pull information from the SSD directly, constantly, but at such a fast rate that you can't notice that it's loading in from your SSD into the system. So very incredible technology that's going into this, but at the end of the day, I don't know that it's any different than what Xbox is really doing, just a different way of accomplishing that. As I said, we talked about the Xbox on Monday before it came out on Tuesday, so we're going to go ahead and move along with this now. What exactly is ray tracing, and how will it make PS5 games look better? Hardware-based ray tracing acceleration is integrated into PS5's graphic processing unit, GPU, and developers have many ways to tap into these capabilities. In a nutshell, ray tracing in graphics simulates the way light interacts with objects and surfaces with a goal of generating more in-game visual detail. PS5 game developers can take advantage of ray tracing to make the effects of water, glass, light reflection, shadows, and surfaces look more realistic or striking, depending upon their goals for the game. So overall, this is the primary reason for the updates. They could have just put more graphical power into something and said, here you go. But ray tracing is kind of the big feature of next gen graphic wise. It's the feature that gives clarity to water. It makes it so that when you're walking by, you get that perfect reflection of someone walking next to it, or how the rays of light will go in and give that beautiful shiny glow look on metal or around a light tube or any type of sign. So it's a really cool effect. So if you've wondered about that and wondered why some of these images just look like they pop a little bit better, the shadows are a little bit deeper and crisper for the edging rather than having kind of that more of a blob look, this is the reason why. Now, this is not unique to the PlayStation 5 though, so don't go getting too excited about this. I'm sure you've probably already heard about ray tracing, but if you don't know what that is, there it is in a nutshell. Then they have additional information What buttons are featured on PS5? How loud will PS5 be when I'm playing games? It's going to be up to your TV a lot of the times. Does PS5 feature a rest mode, which is yes. What are the best practices when setting up my PS5 at home? If you really want to know how to go through that, it's like, don't place on carpet, do not place in narrow, cramped space, do not cover with cloth, very legal stuff there. Will the PS5 require a 4K TV? What resolutions are supported? So this is an interesting one because, does not require 4K. You can set it up on an old 720, any 1080 TV, or a 4K TV. It does not support the 1440p setup that is used by many PC gamers. So if you have a 1440p monitor that you are planning to use in a dorm or something, it's not going to have native support for that, so things could look a little funny. It's either going to be downscaled from 4K or upscaled from 1080, and it's not going to be done naturally. It's going to have probably some weird effects that occur when you try and play in that resolution. However, the other day, PlayStation did announce that if they see enough need for it, they will add it in later on. But as of right now, it's just not going to happen. As far as 8K displays, it says, after the future system software update, we'll be able to output resolutions up to 8K when content is available. So don't expect this anytime soon. And when they refer to content, they're referring to video, not gaming. Don't expect these to do 8K gaming in any meaningful way. We'll be looking at a new generation of gaming systems once that actually becomes available readily. Does the PS5 support HDR? Yes, PS5 will support HDR10. Can I connect it to my surround sound? Yes, through HDMI out and into your TV surround system. Which audio output formats? Lots of information here in all of this. Will PS5 support 4K at 120 hertz? Now, this is one that, well, they give the answer of yes. PS5 supports the HDMI 2.1 specification, which supports 4K at 120 hertz. But that requires a TV, and it requires, well, it's probably going to require a very low graphically intense game in order to achieve that. Don't expect anything from Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon, any of the big AAA titles that need a ton of resources to render them to provide you anything close to 120 frames per second. It's not going to happen. All right, and then they get into the controller. DualSense is, from what I've seen on reviews, watching YouTube reviews and things, the DualSense apparently is far more impressive than what everyone was thinking. So keep an open mind on that one. We're going to expect this to be more than an enhanced rumble. It'll affect the triggers for how they pull and how they play, the sound that comes out of it, and some other little gimmicky things like having to blow into the controller to maybe make something move or whatever that we've seen in Astro's Playroom type of game. But overall, the controller is apparently very well done, and you can expect to have an incredible feel out of this overall. I'm going to skip over most of this, though, because most of this is just general information. For VR, for best PSVR experience on PS5, we would recommend using a DualShock 4 wireless controller, and that's going to be because of the light bar across the front of it, because it's still going to use that light-based system to be able to pick up and do tracking. So the PS5 does not have as large of an LED that glows on it. That should help with battery life, but it also reduces how much is available to be picked up by your camera for VR. What are the in-game examples of haptic feedback? We already covered that with Astro's Playroom. So one instance someone talked about is like if you're trying to pull a bowstring to shoot an arrow, you'd feel that tension get harder and harder the longer and harder you pull that trigger back for the further it gets back. So it starts easy and then it starts pushing back against you to give an actual pressure feel for shooting an arrow. And that's just one example. So there's a lot of things that go into that. But overall, not a whole lot in here that I can really describe to you that's going to give you a true sense of what this is actually going to be. Does the DualSense wireless controller include a built-in microphone? Yes, it does. Does the DualSense wireless controller have a headphone jack? Yes, it does. Will the PS5 DualSense wireless controller support voice dictation? Yes. Feature motion controls? Yes, again. And does the touchpad DualSense wireless controller have any new capabilities? The touchpad is now slightly larger and easier for players to reach. The touchpad also features a light bar that can be used to show the controller's status and can display various colors to communicate gameplay status, similar to what you may have experienced with the DualShock 4 wireless controller. So not a whole lot different there. The share button is the create button now, and it's designed to do more than just, do a quick photo or quick jump over. It's gonna have a lot more available under those tool sets. So if that's something you're interested in, you can go deep dive into that, but just know that it's a create button rather than a share button now, so you can do probably allow you to jump into Twitch, like if you're a streamer, or have access to other things a lot easier than you normally would. Does the DualSense wireless controller have a light bar? We already covered that. There's a little light bar. Does it support accessibility options? Yes, PS5 will be able to reduce or disable the force haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. Players can also remap buttons on the controller, and the DualSense wireless controller integrated microphone allows for voice dictation, making it easier for players to search for content with their voices. How do I change the DualSense wireless controller or charge? That's going to be normal. Just plug it in or stick it on whatever special stand comes out with it. It's got a USB Type-C plug-in this time, so it is not going to be compatible with prior chargers. Can I connect the DualSense wireless controller to my PS5 via USB cable in wired mode? Yes. So a lot of just general information about the controller coming through here. Your existing DualShock Wireless 4 controller with PS5. So some games will work with the PS4 controller if they are games from the PS4 that you're simply dropping into here. However, through a software block, not because of anything that the PS4 controller is incapable of running these games. It would just be running them without the haptics built in, so that would just basically automatically shut those off. They are hardware blocking it, so you have to use the new controller with PlayStation 5 games. So keep that in mind for new games going forward. If you have an old game collection, all of a sudden you drop in a PlayStation 5 game that's exclusive to PlayStation 5, you are not going to be able to play with the PS4 controller with your friends. It can only be that one, so you're going to have to buy extra. Can I use the DualSense wireless controller with my PC? Remote Play on PC supports DualSense wireless controllers via USB wired connection. This one honestly kind of irritates me, because once upon a time, you could actually use Remote Play and have your controller connect wirelessly and still be able to play. So it would get a faster connection and perform better because it would still connect to your system. And so you could actually see real time what you were doing. You can just use the display, and your controller was controlling over on the main system if you were in house, if you were within range of it. However, they have now changed that, and it now blanks out the screen if you try and use the controller in those instances. So that's a personal pet peeve of mine, but if that's something that you were used to or have used in the past and you were excited about being able to use again, not going to work that easily if you haven't used it in a while like it used to. Pairing. To pair is easy. Just connect the DualSense wireless controller to the PS5 using the included USB cable and turn on the controller by pressing the PlayStation button. Simple enough. Pretty much how you did it with all prior systems with the Bluetooth setup. And then it has information on games in here. But before I really get into here, I do want to bring up a couple of things. So when you set up your system, if you are someone who is an inverted player, you can go into the settings and change it to always inverted. It has the ability to set up universal settings for your system. So you go in, you set up your universal settings. You want subtitles turned off. You want colorblind always activated. So any of those special features or special ways that you play personally, it will automatically implement those into your game. So you don't have to worry about going in and changing them every single time. And I think that is a huge, huge change, because the number of times that I have to go in and realize, oh, it dropped me right into the game. I'm right in the middle of the battle, but now I have to scramble to figure out what my settings are in order to change it to inverted, because, I've played inverted all my life. And all of a sudden, games are no longer standard for inverted. They're now standard for standard, and I'm not used to playing that way, so I'm scrambling to fix that. That makes a big difference for me. For my son who's colorblind, it makes a difference for him, for being able to know that the colors are going to show up in a manner that's better for him while playing games. So there are a lot of accessibility and special features in here. I didn't pull up the actual thing to show how to go through the menus and do all of that, because it's going to be very personal to you for what you want to use, and there's just a lot of things in there that you can actually do, and that would probably be a half an hour in and of itself. But just want you to know that those features are there to take advantage of straight out of the box for playing games. So, SIE Worldwide Studio Games launch day, we have Astro's Playroom, Demon's Souls, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, which is included with Miles Morales Ultimate Edition, so that's the $70 edition. If you remember, you buy the $50 edition and you already own the original Spider-Man, they're not going to let you pop it in and get the free update. You are going to have to pay that extra $20 if you want to replay the original Spider-Man in the updated version. And Sackboy: A Big Adventure is available as well. SIE Worldwide Studio Games also in development. So we know that Horizon Forbidden West, Destruction All-Stars, Returnal, Ratchet & Clank: A Rift Apart, Gran Turismo 7, and the next entry in the God of War series. God of War is announced for next year. Horizon Forbidden West, we expect next year. Keep in mind that the only information we have on that is one statement from a developer who said that their goal is for next year, but there's no official coming next year, coming in the fall, coming anything like that. It's their goal for next year. So we may see God of War and Horizon Forbidden West at the same time, or we could see Horizon pushed into the next year. So just little thing on that. So third-party games on launch day: Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Borderlands 3, Bugsnax, which you get included for free with PlayStation Plus for the subscription. And then you see the rest of the list. Call of Duty, which is multi-gen. Godfall is going to be a timed exclusive for 6 months. However, the reviews are starting to come out on that, and it's not looking very promising. So if you want to give it a try, maybe wait till it's on sale, because right now Metacritic has it sitting around a 65. Not that that means a whole lot, but apparently the in-review from IGN and some of the other sites are not very glowing. A lot of the complaints that they have in those are the same as the complaints that are currently on Metacritic that are giving it the 65 overall. And that's mostly about it being very repetitive, a pretty boring story, and just not a whole lot to go on. So think Anthem, only rather maybe not the disconnected story, but rather a story that doesn't compel you to really want to play and move forward in the game. So they probably have a lot of work ahead of them before this game is ever going to be good, if they even continue to support it, if it has lackluster sales to begin with. What other PS5 games are confirmed to be in development? There are a large number of games confirmed to be in development for PS5, too many to fully list here. Please keep checking the PlayStation blog and PlayStation.com for updates on these releases. pretty typical. Is there a difference in performance if I choose to install a PS5 game from Blu-ray disc versus purchasing? No. The only real difference that could happen here is depending upon what your download speeds are. A disc may possibly install faster because of the direct communications and quick communication with the SSD in comparison to download speeds, depending upon what your downloads are. So that's going to be a call for you as to whether or not you know your internet is just not going to be able to keep up with this, or, you know, deals, specials, things like that. But as far as the actual speed, that's going to vary by household by household. Can I suspend PS5 game and resume it where I paused? This is pretty much the same as the PS4. So yes, you can. If you start up a second PS5 game or fully power off the console, the game you were playing will automatically close and won't automatically resume, so you will have to relaunch that whole game. Are PS5 games region locked? No. So you can buy a game from anywhere. You get a good deal from Europe. You get a good game if you've got a game that's exclusive to Japan that you want to play. You will still be able to go and purchase it and play it on your system. Will my PlayStation 5 trophy list be separate from my other PS trophies? No, they're all going to be combined. They do have the new trophy system that has been implemented, so you can go in and a bronze trophy is now worth anywhere between $1 and $299. So a lot of variance that's going to happen within those trophies, but they're all going to be kept together just like they currently are with PlayStation 4, where you can go back and see all of your trophies, including your PS3 ones. Playing PS4 games on PS5. Can I play PS4 games on PS5? Yes. Will PS4 games benefit from playing on PS5? This says yes, but I am going to throw in a caveat here. The reality of it is if it's optimized to play on the PS5, it will. It will do just fine. However, some games, even though they're backwards compatible on the system, actually run worse on the PlayStation 5 because they haven't been optimized for this system. So sometimes you'll experience graphic tearing or discoloration or other problems. There have been information from reviewers who have stuck in these old games and found that the automatic update to this system, it doesn't run the same way that Smart Delivery does on Xbox. So some games are going to have a worse experience visually, or even in some cases gameplay-wise, than they did on the PlayStation 4. And it's going to require those companies to go back and do some upgrades and changes in order to make those games better. And we don't know that that's going to happen. Does the PS5's ultra high-speed SSD provide any benefit for playing PS4 games or PlayStation VR games? They will load faster, but it's going to depend on the game in some cases. In some cases, the load times may be a preset time within them, and it may not be able to take advantage of that as much as you would expect. So it's possible that a game that's optimized could load in 5, 10, 30 seconds, or where a game that isn't optimized will take, instead of a minute and a half, a minute. So it could be reduced, but not fully taking advantage of that new technology is not going to allow it to get that new process to run faster on that game for some of those. So a lot of additional just little information, demos, things. That's going to be up to individual games, not anything to do with PlayStation. If I have a PS4 game, can I upgrade it to a PS5 version? Now, this is going to be based upon the choice of the people who are making the games. And we'll go over that here next, once we get through the PlayStation blog information here. But overall, most games will get the free update. However, PlayStation is apparently being a little crummy on this and trying to make you pay twice in order to get that upgrade, where it's not the same over on Xbox, where everything is free except for specific third-party games, where those are up to those developers to choose how they do it. And PlayStation heard of like 2K's, pay extra in order to get both versions, and they said that's a good idea, and that's what they're doing with Spider-Man, and I'm not a fan of that. But they do have other games that they are going to enhance at no extra cost, so kind of a mixed bag on that one. You'll have to check that game by game for that type of information. If I have a PS4 disc but I don't own the PS5 digital edition, can I upgrade my game? No. If you own the PS5 digital edition, you are not going to be able to play your disc games from the PS4. And just a lot of information about that type of thing. Chat. So in the chat feature, keep in mind that when you opt in, and it requires you to opt in to play anything for online with, or when you go into chat, you are now opting into the ability for them to be allowed to record you at any given moment. So if you are playing an online game and someone says something, or you say something that someone else deems inappropriate, they can report it, and it will report with an audio clip of whatever was said and be reported to Sony, and at that point they can take action to ban you or block you or whatever actions they deem necessary for whatever the infraction was. So be prepared to try and defend yourself in some of these cases if something slips out, or in other cases just watch your mouth, because what you say makes a difference to the people around you, and you're going to get yourself in trouble if you cause problems with it. Will the PlayStation Plus offer PS5 games? Yes. We already know that Bugsnax is going to be the first one that is available for PS5. Whether or not that's going to be every month going forward, or right now it may just be a balance of sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, but you'll get a game that you can still play over there, even though it's not necessarily a PS5 game. We'll go over PS Plus Collection here a little bit later on. PS5 Blu-ray discs. What video disc formats does the PS5 console support? So this is going to support 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray discs, standard Blu-ray discs, and DVDs. Please note that the PS5 digital console does not support any optical discs, of course, because it doesn't have a drive. Come down, it talks about their controller support for video and media. They are going to basically be the exact same as PS4 for a lot of this. Talks about their new camera. However, the new camera is not intended for use with the VR. So that makes a big difference. If you are doing VR, you still need the same camera that's used on the PS4, and you get the adapter for it for free to be able to continue to use that. The camera, it seems kind of silly, like, unless other than for Twitch streaming, there's not a whole lot of reason to purchase that. I don't know that you can make a Zoom call or anything like that from a PlayStation 5. Perhaps within the new media that's available, you can. Their media remote information, not going to really cover that. We already talked about the headset a little bit earlier. Additional perishable support, PS5 user experience. What were the goals of the PS5 user experience? The goal was to ensure that playtime is valuable and meaningful. PS5's new user experience is completely centered on the player to provide a truly next-gen experience with increased intimacy and deeper immersion, quickly connecting you to great games and passionate community. So the one thing that I do want to cover on this is, if you haven't seen it already, the PlayStation 5 looks a lot like the PS4 build out, except that it has these little cards that down at the bottom that tell you, hey, you've completed this much of this particular level in this game, and this is what we expect the time remaining for you to beat it is if you haven't beat it already. It will have the ability to access quick little hints, so basically a guide built within the system already. So if you're having trouble figuring out what you're supposed to do, you can go into the quick hints and find that. Maybe it'll help you find a missing item for a collectible or something, or even if you're just in an open world area in a game and you're trying to figure out what the next step you're supposed to do and the game doesn't clearly define that for you, this is available to help out with that type of thing as well. So that's a big feature that is added in for this, just to make a better user experience within gaming. The PS Store and digital content is PlayStation Store improved on PS5. The PS Store on PS5 is now fully integrated into the system with lightning-fast browsing and simplified, smarter layout that makes it easy to find the right game. So there a lot of jargon. We'll see how this actually ends up long term. We already know there's a ton of stuff on there. We don't know how much stuff has been eliminated from the store in order to try and clean this up, but until we actually get in there and we start to see more and more PlayStation 5 games, we don't know how much they're actually going to have with actually going in and keeping the UI clean and not having this mess of all these advertised games, many of which are like recommended for you, and you look at that and you go, I've never played that genre in my life. So hopefully they've done some eliminating of a lot of that stuff. Entertainment apps, pretty much the typical Netflix, Apple TV, YouTube, Disney Plus, Spotify will be available at launch, which may vary by region, and additional apps, they have a link that you can find additional ones there. Party, friends, and network features. I've already gone kind of into this, but they've gotten rid of kind of the group chat things, so you're not really able to go in and do that. They want most experiences are typically going to be more of verbal based, so you'll be able to go in, do parties, do share play. It says PS Plus membership is required for that one, and can also hand over control of your game to a trusted friend to use it to play local co-op games together. So that's a pretty cool feature. They've had things similar to that where you could have a friend watch you play, and they've talked in the past about having games where someone can come in and take control of the game if you let them, and let them play through your system through like a handoff remote play type of thing. And they're just kind of expanding on that and integrating more of these features as the technology gets better and better. How many players can participate in voice chat party? You can have up to 16 people participate in a voice chat across PS4 and PS5, and the new PlayStation app for mobile devices. So you're no longer limited to just your system. I believe the chat or the integration of the app for voice chat was already there. I've never actually used that, so let me know if I'm wrong on that one. But all three of those services, so you can have friends who just walking around on their phone, be a part of the conversation, joining in, hanging out, and doing that. What family and parental controls are there? If you're an adult with an account on PlayStation Network, you can create an account for your child and become a family manager. This can be done in the Family Managers section of your account settings. And it just goes over managing playtime, what games they have access to. So you can kind of restrict a child from getting on here and playing Mortal Kombat at 6 years old if you look at them and go, you're not old enough to play this game. And this is a mommy and daddy game. This is not a little boy game. So there you have it. Can I change my online ID? This was addressed with the PlayStation 4, where yes, that is now available. And some of the older titles could be affected by that, but as we move further and further away from some of those older titles with the name change, it becomes less of a problem. Can I customize my privacy options to appear offline? Yes, you can. Can I link other services to my PlayStation account? Yes, again, Spotify, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, mostly streaming services or content services where you want to provide your content to third parties. Then it goes into the create and share button. And again, very much the same, but it just more direct access for things like Twitch and other things to be able to quickly get in there and start recording and sharing content than the old button was. And we're just going to keep scrolling down. Other questions, we're just going to skip past most of this. How does remote play on PS5 work? If you haven't done it on a PS4, it's basically you launch it on a compatible device. Your device has to be in either rest mode or on. It goes in, it takes over the system, and it allows you to play it from wherever you are. If you're on PC, you have to have your controller plugged in. If you're using something like your Vita, it already has the sticks on that. But I don't know how much of anything is actually going to be associated with that overall, because they haven't really said anything about Vita, and again, it's not in here. But your PS4 console, you should be able to use your controller remotely connected to your PS4, so your PS4 controller to your PS4, and then play games on the PS5 via remote play as well. And that's pretty much all the information. There's a lot of conversation and questions down below, but that's all the information from this PlayStation blog. So we're going to get out of kind of the dry stuff here, and we'll go ahead and move into all games confirmed with free upgrades. So as we discussed before, here's the giant list. So the free upgrades, you can see that marked over here, what games it plays on, or what systems it will play on, and if the saves transfer. So for instance, Assassin's Creed Valhalla can't transfer a save, but you do get free upgrade onto the PlayStation 5. So regardless of where you buy it, you'll be able to enjoy it on both. Bugsnax does have the free upgrade, but PlayStation only game, 5 only game. So it's not really a free upgrade because it only plays on the PlayStation 5. I don't know why they mark it like that, but just so you're aware that you got to pay attention to where things are so you don't accidentally go through, if you're counting up how many are available for free upgrade, and realize, oh, that's not even a PS4 game at all. Control, but only if you purchased the Ultimate Edition. That's one of those pay to upgrade type of things. Cyberpunk is available on everything. Dead by Daylight, Destiny 2, Destiny 2, Dirt 5, a lot of these games are yes. However, save transfer, Dead by Daylight, no. Can't save transfer, Dirt 5, no. Destiny, you don't really need to worry about that because everything is cloud saved, and you do the cross-platform save, and it goes everywhere with you. But just a long list of things in here. You can see all the things, whether they do or don't have the save transfer along with the free upgrade. So if there's something specific you're looking for, you can kind of look through here and see if it's on this list, then it's available. If it's not, then it's not available for the free upgrade, and you will either have to do some sort of special purchase in order to get it upgraded, or it won't be upgradable at all, one of those two. And then we're going to go ahead and get into the PlayStation Plus collection. And we have all the games here. So from PlayStation, you get Bloodborne, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, God of War, Infamous Second Son, Ratchet & Clank, Last Guardian, The Last of Us Remastered, Until Dawn, Uncharted 4, Thieves End, Batman Arkham Knight, Battlefield 1, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Zombie Chronicles Edition, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition, Monster Hunter World, Mortal Kombat 10, Persona 5, and Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Now keep in mind that Monster Hunter, it is not with the expansion, you'll have to pay for that additional expansion. That was a big update to that game. There's a lot of games in here, so if there's one that you are interested in but hadn't purchased, there's going to be a lot to come in here and play and enjoy on your new system at launch. And then they are also giving away a free PlayStation 5 game, Bugsnax. So if you have PlayStation Plus, you'll also receive Bugsnax as part of that, along with Shadow of War and Hollow Knight for those monthly games. And last but not least, we're going to go in and cover PlayStation Now. This is one of those that's going to be a little bit more of a gray area, because some of these games may or may not be playable on the PlayStation 5, but it is the only comparison that we really have to going in and doing Game Pass on Xbox. And you're going to get games like Rage, Injustice 2, Days Gone, which is also a part of the PS Plus collection. So several of these games aren't really helpful to this transition simply because you're already receiving them for free. But you can go through, there's a whole lot of games there, but keep in mind, most of the top end ones you're probably not going to have access to. Well, that's going to be it for today. Remember, if you haven't already, click the follow button. If you're watching this over on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button. And follow me on Twitter as The Gray Falcon. Until next time, have a good one.